Okay, this is the fourth section in chapter 2 on circuits. Probably quite a few of you have maybe circuit kits or something that you've gotten over the years to play with, and I think you probably have learned that you need several different pieces to a circuit to make it work. But there is a law that this guy back in the 1800s, George Ohm was his name, who came up with how factors in a circuit are related. So there's 3 different factors in the circuit: resistance, voltage, and current. And all 3 of those go together to make kind of like how does the circuit work. But resistance is equal to the voltage divided by the current. So how much resistance that circuit is going to have for you as far as how things are going to work, how the circuit's going to work, is going to be directly related to both the voltage and the current going through it. So the voltage would be what causes that current to run through it, and of course the current itself is what is running through it. So you can rearrange that equation in many different ways to figure out anything about a circuit. You can figure out the voltage, you can figure out the current by using any of the other 2 numbers. If you have 2 parts to this equation, you can figure out the other. Okay, here's several features of a circuit. You can see that on the diagram, and if you've ever used one of those circuit kits, you've probably seen all of these things, and there's lots of different circuits you can build, but basically there's 3 basic parts to it. You need an energy source, a resistor, and then something to open and close the circuit, so things that kind of a switch to have it going on and off. So there's a diagram there. So they have the wires, which connect everything together, a switch, which turns it on and off, the energy source, which in this case is the battery, the resistor, which is the thing that's being run by the circuit. By the circuit. So it could be like your television, it could be the light in your room, it could be the refrigerator, whatever it happens to be. The resistor is going to be the thing that is run by the circuit. And you need a completed circuit in order for all of this stuff to work. If one part of it isn't hooked up correctly, it's not going to work. If you turn a switch off, the circuit stops working. So first of all, circuits have devices that are run by electrical energy. In this case, the diagram here is a light bulb. Circuits have sources of electrical energy. In this case, it's the battery. So it could also be the wall that you have, the electrical outlet in your wall. That's where the electricity comes from. And if you plug something in there, you created a circuit there. That becomes your voltage source. So there's lots of different voltage sources as well. Okay, so the third part are the conducting wires, so the things that kind of put everything together. If you don't have a switch, I guess it's not necessary, but a lot of times things will have switches so you can turn the circuit on and off. That's if you don't want the current constantly running to it. There's some things that you always want a current running to. You don't want your refrigerator turning off, so you probably want a current there all the time. You don't need something that is turning that on and off. But like the light in your room, you don't need that on when you're going to sleep, especially, so you're going to turn that off. There's a switch that turns that current off, that kind of breaks the circuit. So depending on what you need there, but you don't have to have a switch, but the switch kind of opens and closes the circuit. So those wires are the things that connect the circuit together. Okay, so there's 2 different types of circuits. There's series and parallel circuits. Series circuits are going to be your most simple type of circuits because there's only one path. You basically just have wires connecting to resistors, connecting to a voltage source. The advantage is that it's very easy to design and build. And if you are first starting creating circuits, you would find that this would be the easiest type to build. You just take your voltage source, you hook some wires up to it, you take those wires to the resistor, the thing you're trying to run, and then you hook it up to the other end of the battery. You've got your series circuit. There's one direct path for it to take, and that's it. So that's the advantage, is it's easy to build and design. Okay, so the disadvantage to this one is if one light bulb goes out, they all do, and current decreases as more bulbs are added, so the bulbs burn less brightly. So the more bulbs you add into the circuit, or the more features or the more resistors you add in, the less current that's going to be given to them, because basically the current is going to be divided between each one of those resistors. Another one, it's always funny to think of the 12 Things at Christmas That Are Such a Pain to Me. I don't know if you've ever heard that song, but it used to be that Christmas lights ran on parallel circuits. So if you had one bulb and your Christmas lights go out, they would all go out. So there's this guy, I think it's the second thing of Christmas that's such a pain to me, and it's rigging up the lights. But one of the things he keeps talking about is like if one goes out, they all go out. So I always think about the series circuit there, because that's what a series circuit is. If you have a bulb that goes out, it basically creates that switch there. It turns the current off in the circuit and doesn't allow it to go to all the rest of it. So when Christmas lights used to be a series circuit, you'd have to figure out which bulb is it, or else you just have to throw the strand away. So series circuits have a very big disadvantage in the fact that if one goes out, they all go out. And as the current kind of like makes it, if there's more bulbs in a circuit or there's more resistors, it's going to take less current to each one of them, causing them to kind of dim up a little bit. Okay, then we have the parallel circuit. This is going to be the one that you'll find pretty much everywhere. These are they're a little bit more hard to build. It's not as easy to design to make sure that they work correctly, but they have several paths for current to take. So this means if one bulb goes out, the rest will stay lit, and the resistance actually decreases as branches are added. So the resistance there is not going to be as much, so you're not going to see any bulbs getting dimmer the more branches you add to a parallel circuit. So parallel circuits have a much bigger advantage. They're used in homes, because if you think about it, if you had a series circuit in your home, you turned off the lights in the kitchen, then the lights of the entire house would go out because they'd all be together. So it's good that we have parallel circuits. Each one of your rooms runs in its own circuit. In fact, even the electrical outlets run in a completely different circuit than the lights in your room or the lights in the bathroom or whatever it happens to be. So you might find in older houses sometimes that some circuits kind of get mixed up, and maybe you have a couple circuits that are together and they kind of mess with each other. But for the most part, if they're building like a new house or newer, if they come in and fixing sort of electrical issues in a house, they will make sure that they run on their own circuit. So parallel circuits have that good, nice advantage. Okay, so a voltmeter is a device used to measure the voltage and electrical and potential energy. So this would be something that an electrician might use to figure out how much voltage is going through an area. But these basically, it's just a machine. And in fact, if you've ever built anything, you might have seen, maybe your parents have one or something that can tell you how much it can tell you how much voltage is going through something. This is the end of section 4, I think. And yep, it is section 4. So, there'll be homework for this, and you can also find the reading that's posted on PowerSchool Learning. And again, there's always a couple ways you can hand in your homework. You can print it off, clean it, take a picture, hand it in to me. You can just complete it and hand it in to me. You can do it on a separate sheet of paper, take a picture, hand it in to me, or you can always turn things in on April 16th, 17th. That's our next turn-in date. All right, enjoy!